and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today, we are going through the Den of Thieves again with 3 different Carl T. Huber's Starlight barrel finishes. These are all, I'm going to say, fairly recent releases. We have the Scottish Ale, the Bordeaux wine, and the Triple Sec. So John, I'm going to let you take a little bit of a lead on these, since these are all your bottles and you've tried them a little bit. And you want to walk us through these bad boys?
Absolutely, man. So I started Huber's at the end of April, beginning of May, and they had the Bordeaux finished literally day 2 that I started working there, and it became one of my favorite finishes. The sweetness content, I think, is a perfect balance, which is why in the actual testing we're going to do that in the middle. The Scottish Ale was the most recently released before I went to Ireland, which was about the second week in June. And that one I am just so impressed with. The level of different notes that you get from it is something quite special. And then to round it off, the Triple Sec is honestly something I would use in cocktail making. I mean, I'm a novice cocktail bartender. But I watch a lot of things on YouTube, and I try to have different
But you stayed at a Holiday Inn last night?
Yes, I did. With the leaky ceiling and the no ice in the dispenser. But I really enjoy making cocktails with it. Almost makes a good substitute for a Triple Sec liqueur, because it gives it a little bit more of the rye. So I wanted to break these out, and we were going to kill them tonight, and really excited about it.
We kill these, we're all going to go home fucked up.
We're going to be in the hospital.
Look at me, I'm the first one to drop one out.
Hey, that's okay. I used to pick up bodies for a living. So
all right, so 108 proof is the Scottish Ale. It's a bourbon. The Bordeaux is a bourbon, and it's 110.8, and then the Triple Sec is 109 proof. All of them are 4 years old, or just slightly over 4 years old.
Yep.
So we're going to dive into these bad boys. Has anybody smelt this yet?
I just did.
I did too.
On the Scottish Ale?
It's got a kind of, I wouldn't say peat, but it's definitely got a little bit more of that kind of that earthy tone to it. Yeah.
I'll tell you before, while you guys are smelling and tasting and all that kind of stuff, the one thing I do like about the bottle, it's got the old school Catholic schoolgirl
oh yes,
kilt.
We're looking up them skirts
around the
hit me, baby,
edge,
one more time
around the edge of each one of the sides of the label. I thought that was just kind of neat. So
do they have any
it
more
looks
of
like the
those?
double O.
Why are you looking at me like that,
You
Carl?
missed.
What just happened?
I'll keep
here?
it PG, but
I have never tried this before, and this is
the look on Carl's face was
very
like
delicious.
it was the happiest moment of his life.
We do have it still. If anyone is interested in the Scottish Ale after this podcast, please go up to visit Huber's, because we are going to rotate it out very soon.
Tell them John sent you.
Tell them Johnny Boy.
And the
Go
boys
and ask
boys
for
from
Johnny.
Bourbon Barrel Talk sent you. But let me dive in on this bad boy.
So Scott, this is the one I talked about there. Every time you get a nose, every time you take a taste, there is something different that you're picking up on.
It's very complex on the nose.
Yeah.
I'm trying to dive in and really decipher this.
It's delicious on the palate.
I was swirling a little hard to kind of see what the legs is on this
and you
thing.
spilt it everywhere.
I did. It a little did come.
Oh,
out
I
the top.
see it now on your.
On my finger and hand. Yeah.
No, I was looking at the glass where you.
Yeah, it's way at the
where
top.
it flew off.
But I mean, it's got some great legs to it. But that nose is just crazy.
I agree with Jared, and
it's got a little bit of earthy tone
I'm
to
not
it.
a Scotch guy, but I've had Scotch, and I know the difference between like an actual true peaty texture and taste to it. This is the light version. There's some of that comes through, but then it is undercut with this really nice, almost fruity
It's definitely got its earth
vanilla.
tones.
And
I'm getting like a big heavy malt.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to be that guy, but you kind of get a little bit. I know it's a Scottish ale, but you get a little bit of that kind of distiller's beer kind of smell to it. Like whenever you've gone taking a tour and you kind of smell right over the fermenters and whatnot, that you kind of get a little bit of that in there. It's got a great
Like
note.
right before it kind of gets that
Has anybody ever
banana
had
type note.
Old Speckled Hen? The beer, Old Spec. That's what it's kind of. It's reminiscent of that. It's like an ESB. It's more so than I feel like a Scottish Ale, at least on the nose. But that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that beer, like you said, and then I'm getting a ton of malt, like a lot of that really sweetness that's coming through from the malt.
which I really like that. What's the distillery down in Tennessee that makes? They have the malted, like everything on it's malt, and I can't think of
Dickel?
what it is. No, not Dickel. It's not one of the.
Jack Daniels, Cascadia.
No.
Are you talking the one that just?
Yeah, the one that you and Caleb.
Greenbrier,
No, not Greenbrier. The one that you and Caleb.
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
Yes, Chattanooga. I love their one.
Chattanooga. Chattanooga.
We have a new city.
We made up a whole new city in Tennessee. Thanks, Jared. Chattanooga. That's like me when I say Louisville, and everybody makes fun of me because my wife doesn't like it when I say Louisville.
That was
But
all
it's named
last
after
episode.
King Louis, so
You know,
it
listen,
should be
man,
Louisville.
you know, if you don't say it with
Uneducated.
marbles in your mouth, then you're not from Louisville. That's exactly what it was.
Louisville is what a lot of people call it too.
So,
But it's got a little bit of that Chattanooga 111 kind of along that lines, and I love
of their
that
cast strengths?
their Chattanooga cast strength 111 proof. Oh, I love that bottle.
Oh, that was a good bottle.
This is just so pleasing to go when you swallow it. There's just a nice lingering, and then it's gone. Don't look
I
at
would
me
agree
like
with
I'm a
that.
fucking-
It is very.
You're so
delicious.
immature, Jared.
The-
Listeners, if you could see Jared's face right now, he's just being a fucking child.
The finish is quick. It's
Yes.
really, really quick. Like Jared.
4-pump jump.
So it's really it's really
Thanks for
quick.
giving me the extra
The mid
two.
palate's has a decent amount of flavor, but this is mainly a front forward bourbon though. I mean,
It's definitely all on the front of the tongue, and John just flung some out.
just sling it all over me.
I think I got some
knees
Scottish
wet.
ale on Scott. I'm making them wet.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I had to
listeners.
kill the I had to kill the silence with at least a little bit of a laugh because I did witness it. So, but it is very good.
I would try it with a little bit of drops of water. I think that to me actually makes the peatiness, the grass come through even more so.
Man, there's a lot of rye on that tongue and on that front palate.
Oh yeah, very much.
That
so.
spice. And
This was
it's a
released
little
at
floral.
it was released at the same time as the stout finished, which was way overpowering, I think, to the actual bourbon.
See, I missed the stout finish. I haven't tried it yet either. So the nose, man, just goes crazy with water. Add some spiciness. The rye's really popping on the nose. It becomes almost alcoholic,
I
like
think it gets
ethanol-y.
way more earthier too, which is probably along the lines of
When
your
you add that
dryness,
water,
but-
the taste completely changes.
So again, is that because I don't have the most distinguished palate? Is that a peatiness? Is that an earthiness? What is the difference between the two, Scott? What do you think?
So when I think of earthy, I can think of like regular grass, wood, dirt. I mean, I guess, and kind of some kind of type thing. I also think of like different types of like herbs or spices, that are earthier, like your cardamoms and things like that, clove. And then obviously tobacco would be another one that would be an earthier tone. But when I get peat, I get like, the only way and this is the way I've always described it. If you stuck a flip-flop and you threw it in a pond and you let it sit for a few weeks and get a little grass and mold or the algae growing on it, and you took it out and you licked it, that's peat.
it's kind of the most the newest, freshest.
Oh, wait a minute. And then you stuck it in a barrel and smoked it for 2 hours, and then you licked it. But it's that smoky, weird, like mossy. I just don't know any other way to put it. And I'm not a Scotch drinker, so therefore I'm not a peated person. So when I have those Lagavulins and things like that, like it just doesn't do right by me. I've had a couple that I was like, yeah, that's not the worst thing I've ever tried in my life, but I've never tried one that was like, oh my God, that is delicious. I want like the entire bottle.
So you get a little hit of that in this bourbon.
Not as much.
But then
I mean,
it kind of washes away into this very nice,
Yeah.
pleasant, sweetly spiced bourbon.
I got a lot more of the sweet on the back end for me.
and the water really didn't do much with it. I don't feel like it kind of just killed the front palate and just kind of mellowed
It
out that whole mid and finish.
It opened up a little to me, but
Yeah.
that's me.
It opened I think it opened up the nose more than it opened up the actual
I agree.
taste.
Yep.
I think it just added. I think it added a little more earth to both the nose and the taste, but that's about it.
So adding water to it and then letting it sit, like I bet a dime to a dollar when we come back to that in a few minutes. If we do, it'll be tobacco
If we do,
when we do. All right, next is the Bordeaux. So this one's 110.8 proof, which I'm surprised it picked up that much proof going into a Bordeaux, but we'll see what happens.
On the nose, I think it infinitely sweeter than the Scottish ale.
So I'm not a big Bordeaux drinker, unless it's white Bordeaux, which people think that's weird when I say that I prefer white Bordeaux over red, but
I'm not a wine drinker, so this is completely out of my wheelhouse.
I'm with you there. If it ain't a sweet wine, I don't know what it is.
I don't like wine.
I
so.
literally walk in and
If it ain't Boone's Farm, I ain't got a clue what it is, buddy.
Or barefoot.
I was gonna say if it ain't like the Huber's Sweet Red, then I don't fucking know.
Sweet
what it is.
Marcella?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Or the
We're
black.
about
the
to go
blackberry's pretty
into
good.
the season of the Pops Reserve. It's going to be quite busy for Johnny.
You know, I honestly, I think Ted and them should do that. I think they should take like a 4-year-old bourbon and age it in a Sweet Marcella barrel.
Oh man, that would be so good.
I'm just curious what it would end up tasting like.
I think very grape forward. There's a grape brandy that they have out right now, a rye whiskey that I think would be kind of similar to that.
It'd be like if they did it in those ice wine barrels. It's just going to be insanely
Dude,
sweet.
I'm so excited about the ice wine barrels.
Dude,
I
hope
got
one.
you guys back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You better have my back
We'll be
on
getting
those.
one for the podcast for sure.
we'll crack it on the podcast. Yeah.
So I do like the nose on this.
Yeah.
It's very, like you said, very sweet.
I don't know if this is
Fruity.
just crazy or not, but I get almost a maple out of this. I get more of a maple out of this than I did the Wild Turkey 101 maple.
I get where
It's
you
like
you-
foresty almost.
Yeah, you get that, but you're also getting a heavy sweetness.
There's way more sweetness in this than
Mm-hmm.
ales.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as much maple as it maybe is something else, and I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
It
When I
makes
think of
me
maple syrup,
appreciate
and maybe I'll
people-
taste it and I'll get it. Go ahead.
It makes
Sorry.
me appreciate people that have a palate where they can distinguish, 12 to 20 different flavors and odors and things. It really is a science and an art to it.
We just need to make a kit. That's all there is to it.
That's interesting. That
Carl just
Bordeaux,
comes in swinging clutch.
That's super interesting.
It is
It's very like
very front palate, though. I mean,
Yeah.
There's not much on the rear.
there's almost nothing on the finish.
and maybe I'm getting leftovers from the Scottish ale barrel finish, but it's like sweet, but also kind of earthy, but also
I get more of the sweet than earthy.
whiskey. I agree, but that's why I'm saying I think I'm getting a little bit of leftovers from having just tasted the Scottish ale barrel.
It's like a
It's
maple,
but it's good.
vanilla.
I don't hate it.
caramel.
There's some
It's very
spice to
good.
it at the end, though. There's
It's
a
very-
nice little spice to it. Allspice.
It's warm. It's warm.
It's warm,
It's
yes.
very warm on the palate.
I'm not getting the
Absolutely.
warmth.
I do get almost like a little plum in the mid palate.
Interesting.
You're
Just a touch of plum. I am a plum. I'm also a hill.
Did anyone see the TikTok of some girl who's like eating plums from a vine and she's like breaking into them and then it cuts to Thanos going, it's so funny.
I do not know what you're talking
I'm not
about.
seeing that.
It's a great TikTok. My listeners, my cult of listeners.
So speaking of TikTok, I interviewed Bruzel, and he
I watched that.
So he
That was a great.
he did a 40-hour wait for. I guess he got a Russell's 13 and the Weller Foolproof. Did you see where he took the Weller Foolproof and tried to put it in? He put it in his gas tank on his lawnmower because people told him
so
it was
mad.
stupid. They're so stupid. You waited 40 hours for Weller Foolproof, and he's like, evidently I'm stupid for doing this. So let's try something even stupider. So he tried to start his lawnmower with Weller Foolproof.
Some of the foolproof picks I've.
You know
That's
how many-
about what they are.
You know how many people would be so mad?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, one included at this table. One
Not me.
Show of hands who would be pissed.
I
One,
tell you what,
two.
that non-store pick that I
I
had
will say
was
it did make my skin crawl just a little.
Wow.
So the nose really opens up on the water.
Oh yeah. Actually, the flavor adds a little to it.
Get a little bit of that grape.
It's
Picking
a
up
dark
that.
fruit. It's a grape. It's a
Yeah, grape, plum.
plum. Yeah.
That's grape and plum. If you try the PX Sherry finished, that thing's straight grape and plum.
It's like one of those raisins they give you as a kid
Yes.
type deal. That's got all the sugar all over it.
And the
Love the-
sunglasses.
I bet that thing with a block of ice is delicious
Love the color.
because I
on
do
it.
like the water. I think the water actually finishes that out nicely.
Yeah,
I think this one would be perfect in an old fashioned, a smoked old fashioned.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. A little bit of cherry, a little
Go
bit of
make it.
orange.
Go
So-
make an old fashioned right now.
well, the problem
Right
is
now.
we're out of that
and,
bottle.
and smoked old fashioned. You can have
Done.
the rest of mine.
What it's always fascinated me is that these are all, I think, the Scottish ale and the Bordeaux are both a one There's a 108, there's a 1010, and a 109. So you're looking at proofs that are in order, and it just is awesome to me how different they can be. That I think a lot of people that drink bourbon newly, and I was guilty of this too, when we start looking at the proof, we immediately think hot, or we think of the Kentucky burn. And for this one, I don't get any burn. It is very, like we all discussed, it's very mouth forward, and then it just kind of
100%. Go back and smell the Scottish Ale now. I'm gonna smell this triple sec while you're smelling that. You tell me what you get on that bad boy.
Tobacco. Like a very sweet cigar.
Yeah.
Little bit of banana bread.
I knew it as soon as I put that glass down. I smelling. I was like, wait till you go back to that thing. It's gonna be straight tobacco.
That smells delicious.
It does.
So, John, on the Bordeaux one, you said you got the maple, a little bit of a maple on it.
Yes.
Whenever I added the water to it, I get that maple now a little bit.
It's a syrupiness. I don't think it's an actual maple flavor, but it's this syrupy consistency to it. Yeah. And it hugs the rim of the glass so nicely when you do put a few drops of water on.
So this triple sec has got a really, really unique nose. I was expecting to be a lot more citrusy on the nose, and to me, it's a different fruit. Like, it's weird. I'm kind of shocked. Like, I get some faint, and maybe it's citrus, but maybe it's almost like grapefruit. I don't know. It's so weird.
A little melon.
I would say it is spicier than the other two.
Like honeydew.
Like a little melon.
Yeah, like honey, like a honeydew, or like maybe like cantaloupe or something.
I could definitely smell that.
It's like a melony, but like I said, it's almost like I get a really, really faint bit of like ruby red grapefruit.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I've never had a ruby red grapefruit.
Really?
I mean, I've had honeydew and cantaloupe and...
You've never had a grapefruit? Like, you never have grapefruit for breakfast with like a little sprinkle of sugar on it?
A little bit of grapefruit, but not ruby red grapefruit.
It's like one of the best fruit for you.
Well... You act like
make all your dreams come true.
Freaking healthy over here.
I saw a TikTok recently that it said that changed my life. You cut the grapefruit in half.
Man, TikTok. Go ahead.
You cut the grapefruit in half, and then you pull it like back in and of itself, like a sponge,
and it pops out or something.
And it pops out, and so then you just take your fork and you wonderfully eat.
So you turn it inside out.
Yeah.
Okay, Carl. Yes, there's a fucking inside out, but there's a way that you can say it that is much more enticing to the listener.
I saw a TikTok that said,
"Scott, these are our daily fucking conversations with me and Carl. I am the creative, out of his mind kind of guy, and Carl's just the down to earth. Do you think my tractor's sexy kind of guy?"
That's right.
So,
that's right. You got to take him for a ride on his big yellow tractor.
Big yellow tractor.
It can go
and we have a different way of describing things. So, how would you describe this?
So, John uses a verbose method of describing things, and Carl uses the redneck version. We just turn that shit inside out. Is that what you're saying?
That is a ringer there, Scott.
I simplified it all for everybody. Verbose to redneck.
I'm going to hire you as my official interpreter now.
For those of us who
I think I sort of need them more than you.
John-isms.
But honestly, I want to talk about the spice of this one because this kicks me in the head. Honestly.
It had a little more pepper than the others.
Yes.
I would agree with that. It's good, though. I mean, I can't hate on it. I like it. I like it a lot.
So I could see where you said this makes a fantastic cocktail. It's different. It's different than I was expecting.
Do you get any cinnamon or red hotness under the tongue?
Maybe a little cinnamon.
I get that more.
I get a little heat, but I don't know that I would pick it up as cinnamon.
I think it more be pepper than.
Because it's real minty. In all honesty, there's a lot of mint on this.
Yeah, my tongue's
almost like a menthol, or still not quite far.
Double mint gum, like more like a spearmint, like a sweet mint, but there's still some but it's over. It's not over. It's overpowered by the pepper and by like the more robust parts of the spice.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
More so than the Scottish ale was.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of the Scottish ale, I'm going to go back and smell the old empty glass just to see if it's done anything crazy since then.
It should be pretty much exactly where it was at.
So we said
It's
it was
exactly where it's
banana, and we said that it was, what did you say? Carl?
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
Yeah.
A light cigar.
Yeah.
Not
Almost
one
like
of
a Swisher Sweet or an Acid, one of those really sweet cigars.
Yeah.
I have an acid at home. I'm excited to try.
It might even have a touch of clove, like those old school. What are those clove cigars called? DeJerome's.
Have not had an acid cigar yet, so I'm in.
Are you a cigar and bourbon connoisseur together, or
No.
We discussed this last time. I think off podcast. He doesn't like cigars. Well, I'm sorry.
I only have a few a year.
Yeah, that's what it was. I'm sorry. That's what I meant to say. My apologies.
I am not the person that's going to, pull out a $75 or an $80 Mancudo or, a real fancy Padron or something like that and smoke it. I would not appreciate it like somebody else would. Or
Absolutely not for me.
They make that expensive of cigars?
Oh, there's $300-$400 cigars.
Yeah.
Holy crap! I'm a novice.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
its
We're all
own, it's
novices.
its own thing?
Yeah,
I
cigars
spent
are.
$10 and I'm thinking, holy shit!
Yeah,
what the
I'm like
hell?
you. I'm like you. $15 is about my max on a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I spent $20 on a Pappy one, and
I had a $50 one, and I can't remember what it was. I want to say it was some kind of Oliva, not like the Starlight ones, but it was like one of their high end like X series or something like that. And it was good, but I was like, it's not that much better than the V's than we get at Starlight for free. And there's like $12 a piece.
I think
Liquor Barn.
we bought them the other day for like right around there because we went and bought some.
Liquor Barn. Yeah. I was at Liquor Barn the other day, and they had the nice Melanio Robustos, and they were... And I didn't buy any, but I should have. But
So the water on this,
I don't care for it.
yeah,
haven't done that yet.
that's because you're too busy sniffing the Scottish ale.
Damn straight.
So since you're only kind of allowing yourself a certain amount of time for cigars, do you enjoy the tobacco coming through, that leafy
Yes.
sweetness
Yes.
that you had said I think was the cigarillo almost kind of?
Or do you just puff through it
Texture.
to make everyone happy?
No.
I'm joking.
I enjoy a cigar. The problem that I don't like about cigars is that when I smoke them, I taste them for 3 days.
I fully agree there.
Like I literally, and maybe I'm just a sissy. You can call me what you want, whatever.
Sissy.
And that's fine. You can do that.
Joking.
I'm
entirely joking.
And that's fine. I tell my buddy, I tell Jazzy all the time because he's like, dude, you just need to man up. And I'm like, but I feel like I taste them for 3 days, and that's not something that I want to do. There's very few bourbons I would want to taste for 3 days. Like, and I love bourbon. I like a cigar every once in a while for a special occasion, hanging out with the boys, drinking some bourbon, sitting around the fire, drinking some bourbon, playing golf, smoking a cigar. Those are the times when you would typically catch me with a cigar or one of those three occasions. But outside of that, I mean, if we were just, going out for a guy's weekend or something and everybody else smoked a cigar, you most likely would not see me light one up unless like something in that realm came up, like we were playing golf or doing, a night fire or something like that. To me, it's more about it's more like an experience. The cigar itself is an experience. And I always smoke them at the Starlight event. So I've broken kind of my rule of 3 to 4 times a year, typically the last couple of years because of those cigar batch releases. But outside of that, I'm pretty steady.
So do you call a bonfire a night fire?
Bonfire, night fire, whatever you want to call it.
Because night fire actually sounds pretty badass. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me being an idiot, but that sounds kind of cool. I've never heard it referred to as a night fire, but that's pretty cool.
Okay, Sailorman, thank you.
You can have a fire.
Shut up, John.
So when you went camping, right? You pretty much have a fire lit all day, all night. It goes all day long. So there's something about a night fire, like 11 o'clock at night. It's cold. It's dewy. Everything's coming down. You have to kind of get close. There's something about a night fire to me.
You're more exposed to the unknown at night as you are during the day.
That's part of it. I think the other part is it's just you at that point you need the fire, right? Because it's cooler. And for me, even in the summertime, even if it's hot, like there's something about a fire at night that's just kind of soothing or
cozy.
Cozy, yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's when
makes me want to go to sleep every time I'm near one.
Yeah, I've caught my feet on fire once or twice.
So is
that
bourbon
before.
is bourbon
Not really
a,
caught them on fire, but
my
melted
shoes
a shoe.
melted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
getting kind of like a Goosebumps vibe? Like, would bourbon be the drink of choice if you were sitting around a fire at 11 o'clock at night,
Reading a
11:30, almost
Goosebumps
midnight,
book?
and you were like telling scary stories? Would bourbon be the drink that you would choose?
No, not for scary stories. Around a bonfire for most of the time, no. But scary stories, I don't know that adds anything to the
Scary
to the
stories. I
context.
want scotch because I don't like it, and I don't like scary stories.
I'm with Jared.
Just make Molotov cocktails with
was
scotch and
that was
throw
a-
it across.
That was entirely for the joke. I don't hate scotch actually, but
I would drink rum and coke.
You're drinking like
No, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, rum and coke.
I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Rum and coke.
see bonfires. Yes,
Scott. I just
Bourbon?
don't
Agreed.
No, I don't see that.
What do you got wrong
For-
with rum?
I love rum. Rum is my second favorite to bourbon, but just at a bonfire, I don't think a rum and coke would be appropriate.
That's what I started drinking way before bourbon.
it's a dark spirit.
And
Well,
I'll be honest with
depending
you,
on the rum.
I think that's probably the main reason why. SoCo and 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crown Royal and
SoCo. Oh,
If you're sitting
man.
around
Mountain Dew.
if you're sitting around telling ghost stories or just things like that, joking, you want something light and refreshing. And not that bourbon can't be light and refreshing, but I maybe bourbon and ginger ale, like
Okay.
a mule.
So you say that light and refreshing. Bourbon is much more of a deep thought drink.
Philosophical, yes.
Thank you. That's
Yes.
what I'm looking for.
Wh-
It's a
wh-
philosophical drink. Whereas, like you said, SoCo and 7, rum and coke, even Jack and
Those
Coke.
are things you did when you were
Whiskey
young
Coke.
and had fun. Young, dumb, and full of cum. That's what we like to
it
say.
depends on the storyteller, I guess. Whatever mood that they're in,
Yeah.
they can find an alcohol to match
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
151 and some 7-Up.
Ooh,
I'll keep my
151.
comments to myself.
Oh my god.
151. What the hell?
Have you never had 151?
Jesus,
Bacardi
no.
151? Oh my God.
How
Bacardi
come?
That sounds terrible.
No, it's good.
How does that
It's
rate
good.
compare to King Cobra?
So the one thing I have always wanted to do, and they don't make 151 anymore, by the way. Is I'd like to do 151 and age it, put it in a barrel.
Really?
Yeah.
So if
How
anybody
many
has a
years you think?
151, we need to. You need to.
What's that?
How
Let
many
us
years
know.
you think? How many years would you like to
Oh,
age that?
I don't think it would take much more than about a year and a half.
Okay.
If that, especially
18
if it's a mini
18 months
bottle.
maybe.
Oh, if it's
Yeah.
in a mini barrel, it would take way less than that. But if you if you could somehow come up with it, and honestly, I mean, I could order a vat of rum at 160 proof. We could water it to 151, but we could barrel it. But I have no idea what it would end up like. But I would like to try it.
I'm all for that. I love the Fortuitous Union
I give it a
stuff
shot.
that they do.
So what are the final impressions of the three that we have tried here?
So if I'm-
Scottish ale, who likes that?
I love that Scottish
I like
ale.
the Scottish ale. I like the Bordeaux too. If I'm gonna rank these, I'm gonna go
I'm probably
Scottish
gonna
ale first, Bordeaux
shit.
with water, triple sec last.
See, I just like all three of them neat, but this is the Scottish, the Bordeaux, and the
Right.
triple sec.
I guess I'm going to have to go a little different. This is the Scottish Triple Sec, then the Bordeaux.
Gotcha. All right.
And I think that's because you don't tend to fancy the uber sweet.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Unless it's a rum. Then that's a different story.
Not really.
I liked Scottish ale, Bordeaux, triple sec. I liked a little bit of water in the Scottish ale.
Huh.
It brought out enough peat that I felt like maybe I could enjoy a scotch, but I'm not drinking one.
So we all liked the Scottish ale the best.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had a mixed review on the triple sec. Well, really, Carl was the dissenter again. On
Every
the,
fucking
Sorry, I'm
time.
different.
I love the triple sec.
but I liked water in the Bordeaux, and everybody else liked them neat, except for you liked water in the Scottish ale, right, John?
A little bit in the Scottish ale, yeah, I did.
I like it just straight up.
It took some of the dirt away from me, and it just brought forth that flavor.
But you don't like the big rye. You're not a big rye guy, though. Not as much.
I'm not as much as you are. I think
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
become more of a rye guy than me. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Nothing
it's
wrong with
you,
that.
me, and then
And then Carl.
Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all three of them, solid bourbons, solid pours. They're worth a buy. I mean,
100%.
honestly, I would use the triple sec probably most likely as some kind of a mixer.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that I think that it could really, really hold up well in a cocktail. A, it's 109 proof. B, it's got some nice undertone notes that I think would pick up well, especially like in an old fashioned, like you
Old-fashioned
said.
Manhattan, something
what do
like
you
that.
think about the Bordeaux and the Manhattan? Is that what we were just talking about?
that
For
was
one,
the
I think anything that's made into a Manhattan tastes
I
like
know,
trash because it
yeah.
has vermouth in it. But
I wasn't going to say that for you.
Yeah, I would. I know. I knew that, but
We would need my wife for that one.
Now, if you're talking to John, let him answer that question. But you,
I think the Bordeaux might be a little sweet for the Manhattan.
too sweet.
I think it'd be a little too sweet.
you don't think the vermouth could stand up against that?
That's what I was hoping.
I
for.
think it could, considering I've been using the maple bourbon.
I would
Castle
I would have to really make a couple comparisons too.
That'd be intriguing.
And maybe do
Probably depends on the quality of the vermouth too.
That's true.
the bourbon would enhance that, I think.
Vermouth is still trash, by the way. In case
I wasn't-
anybody ever wanted to wonder what my opinion on vermouth was, it's trash.
I think you made that
knew
clear
what
over
you-
the times.
I knew what your
You're so subtle about that, Scott.
Trash.
I knew what your opinion was. So my question initially was more directed towards John.
So
than
we
it
just
was to you.
Well,
but-
there's a guy that
do
is on
appreciate
YouTube,
it.
and it's called How to Drink, and it's a great channel. It's a lot of fun, and he experiments. He's not a bartender, like a licensed bartender. He just enjoys mixing shit, and so he has influenced me a little bit in terms of cocktail making. And I think the vermouth is. You almost want that to be forward in a Manhattan, even though it does. The flavor isn't great, so I will agree with you with that.
Right.
But I don't think it's super sweet. I think the Scottish ale might actually make for a great Manhattan.
I could see that.
See, but I just wouldn't waste it in the Manhattan. I just drink it straight.
I just have.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm sure it would be, but sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
No, I was going to say the only problem with any of these and mixing them is the price point. I mean, you're mixing. It's what $75 mixer.
$75 mixer. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only caveat, but it is what it is. Well, that's our opinion on these. So we hope you enjoyed it. If you want to find Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My favorite medium is probably going to be Facebook most of the time. If you want to DM us or message us, you can do it through either one of those instant messenger functions. And you can also email us at bourbonbarreltalk@gmail.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way you get every episode on time on Sunday morning at 6 a.m. This is Scott, John, Carl, and Jared signing off from the Den of Thieves. Peace out.
See ya.
See ya.